What's going on, everybody? Nico's World here, back with another Tekken 7 video talking about my favorite character in the game, Lars Alexandersson.
Straight shots of Quavo, plunge to the neck. Got a rap bitch that smoke blacks inside a plastic milk. My legacy is shining like a diamond on a cannon bed. Climbing on your niggas, put the iron to your head. You scared, your niggas trying to get ahead. Like a straight bullet, your niggas misled. I'm about my bread, drink, you can roll. Try to stop that, get a bagel size hoe. Consider bed nice, eat the house, use the stove. Check a cold bathroom off the school in the snow. Now I take it back, when these niggas was frontin'. Now I got something, ain't worried about nothing, nigga. Me and my niggas about to take the world over. Me and my niggas about to take the world over. Rolling out of onion, lunch called onion. Onion booty bitch crying deep throat singing.
So today, I'm going to try to go over some things that I recommend you do, some things you shouldn't do, mistakes that I see beginner large players use or do, and some things that you should be doing and things of that nature, yada yada yada. It's going to be a little bit of an unedited video. I'm having a little bit of issues with my editing software, unfortunately, but that's not going to stop me from giving you a Lars tutorial because you guys have been asking me for it. So here it is. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let me start with his poking. Lars has 1-4, down back 1-3. He has let's see, he has down back 1, down forward 1, or just a 1 jab, right? Or down 4, you know, the generic down 4. Now, this is just poking. This is not something that you can do to be like, okay, now I get to start my pressure and I can go crazy. I can go ape shit now. It's my turn. No. It's a poke. That is all it is. It is a poke. It is a quick. It's like poking a bear. You know, poking a bear. Poke at them. Poking can create pressure, but you want to poke your way there, you know what I mean? So you don't want to just go crazy and do something extra slow off of +1. That doesn't make any sense. What you want to do after a +1 is maybe blocking or maybe sidestepping, maybe jab checking them, something fast. You want something fast after low pokes like this because you're not that advantageous. It is not, you're only +1. It's not your opponent's turn technically, but that does not mean that your opponent can't turn that +1 and that you have until a launch against you. So you definitely want to be careful with these low pokes. Be smart with his 1-4. It can be a little choreographed. It can be low parried if your opponent is paying attention. So be mindful, be careful of how you do that. His down back 1-3, it's a low poke again. They changed this from Tekken 8. They made it -1 now, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. So you might just want to do this. Down back 1. It's still -1. It's still a quick poke. You could back off after it. You can still sidestep after it. So things of that nature. So you want to be careful on how you do that. Down back 2-1 is a good mid option from, let's say, like around here, because it doesn't matter if the first hit or the second hit connects. Whichever hit connects, you're +8. So you can use that to maybe get like a back 4 after this. You can do a back 4. You can do a down 4-1. If you're feeling brave, you could even do a down 2. And I'll get into down 2 later on, but you could use that. So yeah, there's that. His down 4-2. This move is garbage. This is one of my least favorite moves that he has. It is evasive. It does crush highs. It does crush some mids. But it's not the best because you have to commit to it. And if they block this, it's -14. Very punishable. I don't like this move. I'm glad they're changing it in Tekken 8 It's gonna be much better. He's gonna get elbow, way better than this move. I hate this move. I'm glad they're changing that. So I guess you won't have to worry about that for too long. His forward 1+2 is a good move. It's a good forward advancing mid safe counter hit launcher, and it's even better in Tekken 8 because that's not a bound. That doesn't count as a bound anymore. That corkscrew. So it doesn't count as that. Doesn't count as a bound anymore. So this is just a normal launcher now on counter hit. So very good. Still good. Even better in Tekken 8. Use this move. Use this move as a forward advancing mid. Very good. Okay, down 2. Lars's down 2 is a really good mid that a lot of Lars players don't use this mid. I don't know why, but it's very good. It's very good after a jab punish. So let's say you just jabbed. It's a very good mid, and let me show you why. It's a very good mid because it's neutral on block and forces crouch. Meaning that basically what this move is that you're putting you and your opponent at a tie. So whoever does the fastest move or the smartest move in this situation wins, right? So like you can do this into this, do a dick jab if you think they're gonna do something slow or slower than 10 frames, or you could trade if they dick jab and it's just a trade. Another thing to do, sidestepping is an excellent idea after this. That's an excellent idea after this. If you want a mid option, you could do while standing 4. If you're feeling brave enough, you could do while standing 3, or not while standing 3, while standing 2, because this will track if you think that they're gonna step, so you could do that. So that's a good option. So I definitely recommend using that move. It's very good. It's a slept-on move. It's one of his more underrated moves. Very good. I recommend using this, and it's very plus on hits. +8. And another cool thing about this move that I like is you can choose to stay crouched, or you could choose to stand. So definitely use this move. Definitely slept on move. I don't see a lot of large players using it. Definitely use it. It's good to use after a jab punish. Because it is a little bit on the slower side, but you want to do it when you have decent frame advantage. So like after a jab, maybe after a back 4, maybe after this, something like that. Good option. You definitely use this. Another thing. So I'm gonna get into his stances a little bit. So, as you know, he has dynamic entry, forward 3, and then silent entry. Dynamic, silent. So his options from dynamic, you have 1, dynamic entry 1, dynamic entry 1, 2, dynamic entry 2, dynamic entry 3, or not 3, dynamic entry 4, dynamic entry 3, and dynamic entry 1+2. Now, each one of those moves serves a purpose, right? So, what is dynamic entry 1 for? It's a very good get-in move. So you want to use this as a get-in move. It's not that minus on hit, so you can still step after this. And the nice thing in the beta that I saw when I played it is that they brought this from -1 to +1 now. Which is a very nice, that's a very decent buff. Very good. So it's an even better get-in move now. And this is also a heat engager now. Which makes this much more viable now. So you definitely want to fish for a whiff. Watch your opponent and just catch them slipping. A very good option now to go for. Decent whiff punishment. Very fast. 11 frames. Use this as a get-in move. But you do want to be careful because the second hit is also high, so they can duck the second hit, I believe. So be careful with how you do this. If you don't want to commit to the 2, you can just do the 1, and the 1 is heavily plus on hit. It's plus 8. So you could do that. Very good option. Up forward 3, okay, so during this tutorial, I want to talk about some things that I do see Lars players doing that I definitely really wish they wouldn't. Up forward 3, do not use this move whenever. This is a panic move. This is a panic move. This is when your back is to the wall and it's just risk it all or nothing. That's what this move is. But do not use this move. Do not use this move as like anything else, to be honest. I wouldn't use it as a whiff punisher. Don't use it as anything else. Use it as all or nothing. Risk it all. That's what this move is. Do not use it for anything else. Because if they block this, this is so punishable that Lars can orbital that. So do not use this move, like, for any other purpose than panic move. It's a panic move. Use it when your back is to the wall, and it's basically fuck it move. That's what it is. Fuck it. That's what it is. So that's another thing I see Lars players or beginner Lars players do. Do not use this just like that. Be smart with how you use it. It's a fuck it button. That's it. Another thing I see Lars players do is they do this. Don't do that. Do not do that. That is one of the worst things you could do. Do not do this into stance. There's no crushing in that. There's no evasion. There's nothing in that. Don't do it. If a Lars player ever does that, you have all day to kill them for that. That is not real. Lars beginners, do not do this. Just take that completely out of your mind. That is only used for combos. Do not do this on block. You will die. If you do want to use this string, you could do this. This is a smarter option, but this is also still dangerous at the same time because that's your -5 on block, so you don't really want to do that like that. Or a smarter option, you could use it as a poke, like a quick fast poke, and you could cancel by holding after the 1-2 by holding back, forward 1-2 back, just as a poke. I like to do this sometimes, just as a quick fast little poke. Or you could do it into stance again. But you don't really want to go into stance on block. Try to avoid that as much as possible. So that's one thing. Let's see. So back to the stances. This is a good move. It's -10, but they're not really punishing it with the pushback that much, so they can't really punish it. Or if they do, they won't get the best punish. This is a good whiff punisher. If you see somebody whiff, boom, you can catch them slipping like that. This does bound automatically, so keep that in mind, but Lars' wall carry is really good, so it doesn't really matter. It's very fast, 12 frames, not a bad move. I do use this sometimes, it's decent, not bad. So we have his low. They took this low out from his dynamic entry stance, because now it's just the 1-4 now, or it's not the 1-4, but it's just a 4 from this attack. So the low from this stance is his 1-4 now, and if you press down after the 1, he can go into stance into limited entry. But there is a big but about this, is that is a gimmick. That is not real. So if your opponent decides to do a chunky mid, it will catch you when you go into stance. So if you press down afterwards, right? So be smart about it. If you go into stance, a smart thing to do, what you could do is you can go into stance, but if you don't press anything, you can still block afterwards, right? So if you do down, you can still block. So that's good because you can make your opponent overreact when they see you spinning like that, you know what I mean? You can make them overreact. You know, so you could do this, press down, and they're like, oh, he's about to do something, I need to do something. And if you make them overreact, you can make them do something punishable on block, or you can make it to where now it's your turn now. You know? But you just want to be smart on how you do things. So my philosophy with Lars is you have to be fast, and you have to be kind of a quick thinker, right? Because a lot of his things are not that plus on hit. So in those situations, you need to decide very quickly, do I want to continue pressure? But the thing is that you want to be careful how you apply this, because they can disrespect that. Like this into this is not real. They can disrespect that by dick jabbing. So you want to be smart about that. I'm sorry, my friend just messaged me. But you want to be smart about that. This is his go-to counter hit launcher button from Dynamic Entry 3. Dynamic Entry. It's 17 frames, mid, safe. Excuse me. It's not bad. Sometimes I do throw it out from neutral, but not too often. Sometimes to kind of fish for the counter hit, but I get more luck when I do it from this. I get better luck when I do it from this. But be careful though, because if you do this and you whiff that, you can get hit, so be careful. The safer option from backspin, what I like to do, is this. I like to just do the one sometimes because whether it connects or not on block or on hit, if it's on hit, I'm +8. If on block, I'm -1. So I could still move around whether this connects or not. And it has decent recovery too, so even if this whiffs, they don't have all day to try to catch you with a punish from that, because this recovers fairly quickly. So you don't if you are feeling like you can get this, then go for it. But if you want to be a little bit safer, you could just do this, or you could just do nothing. So that's one thing. Dynamic Entry 3. It's good, but you need to set this up though, right? So you want to do it like something like that. This can only work on knockdown. Now, in my gameplay, you do see me do this into this. This is one of those things where I say, do as I say, not as I do. Doing that into that is not smart. I do it sometimes because it's just a feeling I get that I feel like I can get away with it, but I absolutely do not recommend it. This is much more safer to get on a knockdown. Definitely don't do that on block. Honestly, doing down forward 3 down on block is not the best option either. If you're going to do that, make sure you have your opponent conditioned to respect the cancel first. So what I mean by condition, you want to do this. You want to just keep doing this until they're conditioned to respect the cancel. Because in their head, they're gonna keep thinking, oh, he just keeps doing this. He just keeps doing down forward 3, down forward 3-3, down forward 3-D, until one time I cancel it. The cancel is a little bit slow, so you definitely want to make sure they're conditioned before you do this. If you are going to do this, but against a good player, I wouldn't do it. Or if I'm going to do it once in a blue moon. So do not do it over and over again. It is not real. So yeah, that's one thing. Let's see. Oh. One thing I do like to do, me personally, and I believe that every person plays their own character a specific way. You know, you're gonna develop your own style, your own version of Lars. I wholeheartedly believe everybody plays a character differently. Every character has their own type of tools, but you have your own style of how to utilize those tools. So this is just what I like to do. So what I like to do sometimes is I like to crouch from maybe like this range, like around here. And I like to do while standing 2 down, right? The reason why I like doing this is because from this space, I can, it's like, it's not the best keep out, but you can kind of use this as keep out. And sometimes what people like to do, what I noticed, is that they think that they can get to you like this. Because they're like, oh, he whiffed an attack, I can hit him now. And it's like, well, no, because this creates space. The whole purpose of this move is to bait your opponent. It creates space. It's space. It's like a space control kind of thing, right? Well, because I think it's funny because when Lars does it, you can kind of see him looking over his shoulder a little bit. He's like trying to see if he's gonna come in, right? You gonna come in? You coming in? You know, so that's one of the things I like to do. And sometimes when I'm dashing away, people will try to run in, right? So I've gotten the most success off of his dynamic entry 2 from that. So I like to do it from this, maybe like around here, like right there, and then catch them like that. I've gotten the most success off of that. And sometimes I like to just keep doing it from a distance, or like I'll dash in and then duck really quick and then do that. Dash in, duck. Because I just like the space control it gives, and I like to be able to, if I'm at like this distance, I like to dash in, cancel the dash, and then duck really fast, and then while standing 2. So that's some things I like to do. But again, you're gonna develop your own style. This is just I'm just going over some of the things you should be doing, some things you shouldn't be doing, punishment, and my own personal play style. But let's continue with the video. Let's go into silent entry now, since I talked about pretty much everything from this stance. I mean, in Tekken 8, I guess I missed one thing. In Tekken 8, he can do the stomp from the stance. So when he's in dynamic entry, he can just do the stomp off rip. On counter hit, if you get the stomp on counter hit, it guarantees silent entry 1. So you get that if you get the stomp on counter hit. And the thing is that you can do it. I saw on the frame data in Tekken 8, you can do the stomp. And then once you do the stomp, let's say you hit your opponent and you're in dynamic entry now, right? In his face, and you do the stomp. As soon as you do the stomp, you want to go press forward automatically as soon as it hits to go into silent entry, because the reason being is that the stomp into stance is plus on hit. So there is no reason after the stomp connects, there is no reason not to go into stance on hit because you're plus. So if you do this on normal hit, go into stance. Because it is your turn when you do the stomp into stance. But if you just do the stomp, you are safe, but it is not your turn. I think you're -4, I believe. So on hit, go into stance. That's just one of the things in Tekken 8. But silent entry is where his better buttons come in, because you have silent entry 1, one of his best moves, arguably one of his best moves. It got buffed in Tekken 8, and how they buffed it is they made it safe. It's -10 on block with a little bit of pushback, so you could kind of still get a punish from it in Tekken 7, but in Tekken 8 they gave it a lot of pushback. So this pushes the opponent back, and it's safe in Tekken 8, which is way better. It's way better now. So that's definitely an improvement. This move is, they also buffed his silent entry 2 in Tekken 8. It's not 19 frames anymore, it's 17 frames now, so it's 2 frames faster. Very nice buff. But they buffed it and nerfed it at the same time, because you see how this just launches? You see how it's just a regular launch on counter hit? What they did instead is now it automatically bounces. Which means that the combo utility from it has been nerfed from it. So is it still a good, is it a fair trade in my opinion? Yes, absolutely. I will definitely take a low that is faster and +6, still +6 on hit, and still counter hit launches, but the counter hit launch is a little bit weaker now. But that is definitely a welcome buff, though. It's more of a buff than a nerf, I'll say. Silent entry 3. Still 14 frames fast. It's still exactly the same, but it is still -14 on block in Tekken 8. I saw some people in my streams and in my community tabs. They were saying that they wish this was -13. I mean, it would have been nice if it was like that, but to be fair, I don't think it should be, because it is a whole ass launch. It is 14 frames fast, and not everybody has a 14 frame launcher, right? So it's only character specific, so you need to remember who you're going against when using this move. So you want to be careful against characters like Brian, Paul, characters that have 14 frame launchers. You want to use this move sparingly, right? But characters that don't have 14 frame launchers, don't be too afraid to use it. This move, silent entry 3+4. So what they did in Tekken 8, they took the properties from this move and they gave it to this move. So now this forces crouch and is 0 on block instead of this. And they just got rid of this move completely. Which kind of sucks, because I love this move. This is one of his best moves. But it is what it is. This does not counter hit launch on counter hit. It just forces crouch, and it is a knockdown on hit. But still good. Still good. Still a decent move. So this will probably be your safer mid option to use, but you do want to be careful with it though, because in Tekken 8 they can juggle you out the air from this. So if you do, like, let's say this on block and you do that, they can jab and then you're gonna get juggled and you can get comboed. So you want to be careful on how you do this. Again, don't go into stance on block as much as possible. I mean, you will sometimes, more than likely, but try not to as much as you can. Let's see, what else did I oh, this. Silent Entry 4. This got an amazing buff, and I'm so happy that they buffed it the way they did. So what they did, you see how this is 23 to 24 frames? It's very slow. It's a high, and it's -9 on block, so it's safe. Power Crush, what they did, which is an amazing buff, they made this, I believe, 17 frames, so it's way faster now. It's much faster now. So your opponent, it's kind of a little bit more dangerous to disrespect Lars when he's in his stance now, because you can get hit by this. They did take the launching property away from it. This does not launch anymore, so they did take that away. But it does still wall splat. So if you get that, and you see it connect, and the opponent is close by the wall, they will get wall splatted, and then you get the basic wall combo, right? So, very good buff. So we traded it for the launcher, but to make it the move overall better. So that is a buff. They can keep the launcher because now you can kind of be better at making your opponent kind of respect you a little bit more from his stances now. So very good buff, very good buff. One thing that they did, as everybody knows, which is a very popular buff that they gave him, is now he can go from stance to stance to stance to stance to stance. So what I mean by that is he can go forward 3, and if you press forward 3 back, he goes back, but he's still in dynamic entry. When he transfers back into when he goes from dynamic entry back to dynamic entry, the transition from that is a little bit slower, but it still holds some utility. I'd used that a bunch, and now he can go from silent entry back to so it's dynamic entry to silent entry to dynamic entry, or he could go dynamic entry, silent entry, limited entry, or he could do dynamic entry, dynamic entry. It's a little confusing. You'll see what I mean on the game's release, but it is fantastic. It makes Lars much more tricky and much more problematic to deal with in terms of mix-up game. So it's very good. It's a very good buff. It makes him a little bit more scarier, and it makes him a 50-50 machine. So it's definitely a welcome buff. It definitely makes him stronger. Oh, his 444, 4443, that is still in the game, but this is -3 or 4, I believe, on hit now in Tekken 8. So I'm not entirely sure if this still wall stuns. I don't think it does. I have to check that in Tekken 8. I'm not entirely sure, because if it does still wall stun, then that's a good option to go for at the wall. But I'm not entirely sure if it does. I have to check that. But instead of 444-3, now it's 444-2 now. 4442 is +9 on hit. So you're sacrificing damage to be heavily plus on hit. So you're in dynamic entry stance +9 in their face. So that's a very good buff. Or it is a buff, in my opinion. It is a buff. So you want to use this for damage, but you want to use 4443 for plus frames and pressure. So definitely take advantage of that in Tekken 8. It's kind of hard to talk about Tekken 7 things in Tekken 8 because Tekken 8 is literally like a couple weeks away. But I'm trying to help you understand the mechanics of Lars and how to what you're going with for new players and for beginners. If you want to try out Lars or have been playing Lars or whatever, such and such. So let's see what else. Oh, back one. Right, back one. You absolutely want to use this move. This is a very good homing move. Lars is blessed with a 15 frame homing move mid. Very good. You use this if you think people are going to try to step you. Right? So, I have a friend that I play with. Or I have friends that I play with, and they are all very strong players, and they know that some of these moves are not very plus on hit, right? So what they like to do is they like to step. They like to step after this. So how do you solve that? Back one. Back one is basically don't step me. Don't step. Stay right there. Don't step. It's how you keep it's your best button to keep your opponent in check if you see them stepping a lot. So sometimes at the beginning of the round, if you oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sometimes at the beginning of the round, if you see your opponent like stepping at the beginning of the round, this is a good option to at the start, but only if you see them stepping at the beginning of the round. It's a good option. You could so like let's say you do a heat engager. Like let's say you do this and you press forward and you're in heat, and now you're +5. You could do back 4, but back 4 is extremely linear. Extremely linear. Let me see if I could. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do this. Let me show you how linear back 4 is. It's very freaking linear. It has a counter hit property where he picks them up and breaks their neck, but it is extremely linear. Let me show you. See? It's extremely linear. So you want to be. So let's say you're in heat and you're running at them, but you think they're gonna try to step you. Back 1. It's the same frames as his back 4, 15 frames. Back 1 will catch them. So my philosophy with back 1 and back 4. Back 4 is for people that you think are gonna press on you. Back 1 is for I almost said. That was wrong of me. I almost said higher level players, but back 1 is for people who are gonna try to step you. They did nerf this move, unfortunately. On counter hit, it doesn't give you a knockdown anymore. So you just get this on counter hit or normal hit. That kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that was a nerf, but still good. You still want to use this. It's still 15 frame mid, still fast. One of the faster homing moves. Use this. Oops, excuse me. His down back 1-3 is a good low poke. I use this a lot. It's an okay low poke. The weakest thing about it is that the second hit is a high, so it technically is launch punishable, which kind of sucks. And they did nerf this move in Tekken 8. It's not +1 anymore, it's -1 now. I don't really know why they did that. In my opinion, they should have just kept it +1 because you're kind of risking your life with the second hit being a high. So I think they should have kept that +1, but it is what it is. It's unfortunate. So honestly, it might just be safer just to do back 1 or down back 1 instead as a quick low poke. It's still -1. You can still step after this. If you're feeling confident, I mean, you can go for the damage, the 19 damage. I mean, it's not that much, but it's not really too worth it in my opinion. So you might just want to just do that instead, just to get a little low poke at them. Just do down back 1. So you could do that, but just be mindful of his +1 attacks, because again, you're not that plus, and you're in your opponent's face. So I mean, you're at an advantage, but you're not too advantageous. So don't be doing something like this and then be doing like a super slow move like that or something, you know, like do like a jab, do something fast, maybe a down forward one, but I would not do something like, you know, something slow like that. You don't want to do that. Or you could, or honestly just back off or just block. Because again, you're not super advantageous, and the problem with this is that you don't know what your opponent is gonna do, because he could do a move that has crushing. He can do something that he could step. So you want to be smart how you do this. Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I use this move to sometimes get pressure, but I also use it for information. Now, what do I mean by information? So these moves, you can use these moves for information. So if you do this move, what did your opponent do in response to this? Did he do something slow? Did he do something fast? Did he dick jab after this? Did he step after this? Because if you do this and then you back off, like let's say you do it the first time in the match and then you back off, watch what he did after in response to this move. Did he retaliate? Did he try to press a button? Did he sidestep? You know, try to, because that way that'll give you a hint as to what you can do in response to the next time you put him in this situation. So like let's say let me put it this way. Let's say I put my opponent in this move and what he responded with is like a while standing one. Right? So let me show you exactly what I mean. So let's do this. All right. So you as the Lars player need to get information from doing certain moves on block or on hit. That's what I mean. So you need to be, I mean, in that recording it would be the other way around. That would be me kind of like doing that, and then maybe my opponent would press while standing one if it's like a slower move. You know, so getting information off of these moves is a good way to predict what he's gonna do next. Because this move is a poke. It's a poke. You want to poke at them and make them overreact. Lars is very good. He has decent things to make people overreact. Once you see somebody overreact, punish them. Kill them for that. Oh, he panicked. Punish. He panicked. Punish. Make your opponent panic. Get in his face. Poke at him a little bit. Make him overexert himself, because when you see him overexert himself, punish. Punish hard. So that's one thing you could do. So that's why I always say Lars is very he was weak in Tekken 7, but he's easy to use, but he's hard to win with. And you need to be very smart on how you utilize his tools, because Lars is not going to carry you, you have to carry him. It's going to be a little bit easier in Tekken 8 for sure, but in Tekken 7 you definitely did have to put in work as the Lars player. So you need to be smart with how you utilize his tools and his frames. The dash cancel, I press forward 3 up, forward 3 up, forward 3 up, forward 3 up. I like to do this to close distance, or if they're a knockdown, something like that. You want to be careful though, because they can spring kick. But you can use this to employ a mix-up. But you want to be a little bit careful on how you do that. There is a frame of crushing in it, because Lars ducks down, but it's like inhumanly fast. I have actually crushed electrics with this, but don't count on it. It happens once in a blue moon. But Arc Blast still the same in Tekken 8. 15 frames, still minus 13. Very good 15 frame punishment, very good. Trying to think what else is there. I feel like I'm forgetting something else. There's a lot to talk about. Oh, his back 2-1. I don't really use this move. I have gotten a counter hit off this before. It is a counter hit launcher. It's still the same in Tekken 8. That is a counter hit launcher. It's not the best. I really don't use it like that. It's highly delayable, but I use this instead. The second hit is a high, so if you think they're gonna duck, you can do this. But I don't like this move too much because it's minus 10 on block, so it is unsafe. I think it would be better if it was safe. That would be kind of nice. I think it should be minus 9 on block. That would be a nice buff, but I only say this because this is really not the best way. It's not the best move to fish for a counter hit. I barely use this move, so it's really not the best. But you can use it. I don't use it. Me personally, I don't use it like that. But if you see them ducking this, I guess you could just use that. I do like to use his back to 3 though, especially after being like decently plus. So like let's say like I hit you with this, that's a good option. That's a good option. That's a good option. You know, it's a decent mid to kind of just push them back and then knock them down. So that's a decent mid to use. If you think that they're gonna duck, you could punish them pretty decently for ducking. So you could use that. But yeah, I think that is for the most part Lars Alexandersson. I mean, there's some moves that puts him in the stance. Let me just go over those real quick then. Those moves, so it's his down back 2 forward, puts him in silent entry. Back 3 forward, puts him into silent entry. Forward 1-2, puts him in the silent entry. Down forward 3 down, puts him into dynamic entry. While standing 2 forward, puts him into silent entry. While standing 2 down, puts him into dynamic entry and creates space. I like to do when I do while standing 2 down. I like to press down back because sometimes when I press down, I still get the down forward. I think I get down forward sometimes, so I like to press down back just to make sure that I get the back. But yeah. That is Lars Alexandersson in a nutshell. Oh, one thing. That's another thing I forgot. Sorry, I'm just doing this off the fly. So, you remember when I said that this move puts him into full crouch and it's 0 on block? So when you see 0, that means nobody's at a particular advantage or disadvantage. You're kind of tied. But you, as the Lars player, technically are at an advantage because he's crouched. Which means that he's limited to crouch moves. So you technically are at an advantage. You're not super advantageous, but you are technically at an advantage. Why do I say this? Because if your opponent is crouched, your 1-1-1 will beat a while standing move. So let me show you what I mean. How can I show this? Yeah, okay, I know how. right? So let me show you this way. You saw that? So I try to press while standing 1. I try to press while standing 4. That's the fastest move you can do from that. Yeah, so you see what I mean? So your jab will beat their while standing move because they're gonna run into the jab. And you don't even have to do 1-1-1. You could do his new 2-1, his new 10 frame string. So that way if they're doing a while standing move and you do the 2-1, you will catch them, and then you're plus, I think, 8, 9 in their face, and they have to deal with that mix-up because they can't step that mix-up, which is very nice. So that's definitely a better buff, or not a buff, but that's definitely a tool that I recommend using. You don't have to use 1-1 if you don't have to, because it is unsafe. You could just do 2-1. You could do 1-2. Either of those work. But there's a big but. You do want to be careful because some characters do have crushing in their while standing moves. So for example, right? You saw how that beat that? Lars' while standing 2 has a little bit of high crushing because he's still kind of ducking down a little bit. So if you see them kind of doing this, what you can do after this on block is you could dick jab. It'll beat, because that's the fastest move that you can do if they do a move that has crushing. Because Lars' while standing 2 is 13 frames, right? But if you do a dick jab, it's gonna beat that while standing 2 because that's 13 frames. This comes out in 10 frames, so this will beat him by 3 frames, and then you're plus 6 in their face. So basically, use while standing 1, or not while standing 1. Use crouching, or use the dick jab if you think that they're gonna do a move that's has crushing. Because if it crushes highs, if it's a while standing move that crushes highs, I guarantee you it's not faster than this. It's not gonna beat that. But again, that's where it kind of becomes a 50-50 because, as we all know, dick jabs are linear. So if you make them crouch, they could still step. And if you do this and they step, you can get launched. So you want to be smart about this. If you think that they're going to retaliate with a while standing move, you can do this after this. Or I should say after this, because that's what it is in Tekken 8 now. So you can do this if you think that they're going to retaliate with a while standing move, but there is while standing moves that have high evasion. So if they have high evasion, you can do this, a dick jab, or you could sidestep yourself. Sidestepping yourself is not a bad option from this as well. That is still a very decent option. What I like to do after this is I like to dick jab, or I like to sidestep, or if I think you're gonna sidestep, back 1. So there's things you can do to keep your opponent in check. So just keep those things in mind. It's a little tip. You use those options. This move, I don't use this move like that. It's not good, to be honest. It's launch punishable on block. It's very slow, very reactable, very linear. I don't use it like that. It has good range. It has very good range, but it's just not the best. It's very reactable. I wouldn't use that move too much. And as a Lars player, one of the weaker that's another thing. Lars' weaknesses. His weakness is sidestep right. Sidestep right is Lars's weaknesses, or Lars's weakness. Oops. Lars's weak side. So you want to be careful, and be mindful of that, and watch which way your opponent is stepping. Utilize back one a lot. Oh, whiff punishment. Lars's whiff punishment is great, but it does bear some level of risk to it. Lars's back 3-4, great whiff punisher. I use this all the time. If I see you whiff anything, this has amazing range. But the second hit is a high, so do not just throw it out like that. Because if your opponent is paying attention and he's blocking, he will block the first hit, duck the second hit. So you don't want to be careful. Do not just throw this out on block. You need to see the whiff, then punish. See the whiff, then punish. See the whiff, then punish. And if they do a really bad whiff and you're feeling brave, you could even do this. Forward back 2-1. Forward back 2-1 has amazing range, but it is launch punishable on block. So you want to be careful on how you do this, how you use this. It can be a little bit of an awkward input, but if you see a big whiff, you can go for that. But the safer option would be this. But that's a good whiff punisher on block, or not on block, on hit. But again, you have to see that whiff first. See the whiff, punish. See the whiff, punish. So use this as a whiff punisher, because it has amazing range. Down forward 3-3, going back to this move. I do sometimes like to use this move as keep out. It's not the best as keep out, don't get me wrong, because it is linear. But I do catch people sometimes with this, running into this, because they think they can hit me because they see the first hit. I do catch people sometimes with this, but be careful because it is linear. Be smart with how you do this. I use it sometimes, but it's just one of those things where it's just a feeling I get where I don't think they're gonna step. I don't think they're gonna do anything. I think it's gonna connect, so I do it. So that's one thing you can do. But I think that for the most part is my tutorial on Lars Alexandersson. Again, I'm sorry. I know it's not the best way I could have maybe explained it. I probably could have made it a little bit more precise. So please, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. I will be happy to answer any questions you guys may have. I'm going to start to stream more often, more consistently, especially when Tekken 8 comes out. I will be streaming the Tekken 8 story mode if you guys would like to watch, but other than that, I think that's going to do it for my tutorial on Lars Alexandersson. So I want to thank you guys for watching. For new players that seen Lars and was like, oh, I want to join the Lars team, we're welcome to have you. And again, I repeat, if you have any questions at all about how I do things, from the games that you watch me see me play, anything at all, leave it down in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer. But without further ado, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.